call the June back to meeting. Item 946. We received in executive session a recommendation from the superintendent, and the recommendation was approved by the board regarding student aid.
What was the duration of recommendation?
Are we supposed to give that out? The rest, you amended the recommendation. Megan?
Recommendation was for the remainder of the school year,
For the whole school year.
for the remainder of the school year.
Not sure if it's that. Right.
All right, moving on to item number 8, public comment. Item 9, approval of the minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the September 23rd regular meeting.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Harvey and a second by Mr. Brogan to approve the minutes from September 23rd, 2025 regular meeting. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining?
Aye.
Let the record reflect by a 3-0 vote, with Mrs. Farley abstaining, the motion carries. All right, moving on to item 10, approval of bills.
Make a motion, well, Mr. Brogan's already recused himself.
Yeah.
So that we can review RT Rogers and Safe and Sound. I make a motion that we approve RT Rogers and Safe and Sound bills.
I second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mrs. Farley to approve the RT Rogers Safe and Sound bills. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record reflect by a 3-0 vote with Mr. Brogan recused. The motion carries.
For the record, I had to leave the room because of a conflict of interest with the two businesses I named previously.
I make a motion that we pay the remainder of the bills.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Farley and a second by Mrs. Harvey to pay the remainder of the bills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, let the record reflect by a 4-0 vote, the motion carries. Moving on to old business. Discussion regarding May 2026 levy.
I know it was mentioned about having a survey at a football game. Has that got any traction?
I don't know.
We haven't done that yet. Also, Mr. Angel had talked about on the next Wednesday is a 2-hour delay for staff development. So the staff would be there. He did mention something about maybe each one of you going to a different location and talking to the staff briefly or telling them about a survey or something like that. But I think that's all I've talked to him.
And simply ask them what they're willing to support.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is when? Next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday. 2-hour delay for staff development.
I'll go to JB.
And go to Talbot. Jay, do you want high school or HAE?
There's also a bus
Huh?
garage. The bus garage.
Yeah, we're in the bus
I can
garage.
do the bus garage.
Me and Greg will get together and
Okay.
decide on Hinton area and the high school.
I don't think we need to offer any guidance, just simply listen.
Listen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So we can put this on the agenda for the next meeting.
And no action.
No action will be taken. Okay, discussion regarding cell phone policy.
Your hand up.
You got any info? I just asked about this. I figured it'd cause a lot of flack and I just wondering how it's going.
So what I'll say is, we actually implemented a complete cell phone ban a year earlier than the state passed their law. So I'm gonna kind of just give you an overview of the data. Let me come closer. In the school year 23-24, we did not have a cell phone ban. We were just kind of operating under the county's current more looser cell phone restrictions. And as far as discipline referrals, we had 1,411 that year. Last school year, the high school went above and beyond and implemented a total cell phone ban. And we had a total of 1,124 disciplinary referrals for that year. So we saw about a 20% decrease in our disciplinary referrals overall. And we saw at a rate of about, discipline phones confiscated a month. We had about a rate of 27 phones a month confiscated, last school year. And that's an average. In fact, that decreased significantly as we moved our way into the second 9 weeks of the second semester. Ms. Cochran at the time was kind of just keeping a running tally, and I remember that it dropped significantly the longer we kept enforcing that. And then for the current school year, it looks to, the current discipline rates for the high school are 244 referrals thus far. Now, take that in consideration. Beginning of October is when we start to see the big spike usually. People kind of get comfortable at that point. But to date, it looks like they have taken 60 phones, 61 phones, I apologize. So roughly about a rate of 30 a month. We've been in school about almost 9 weeks, so 2 months at this point. So about 30 a month. So we're up about 3 from this time last year, or at least from the monthly average from last year, I won't say this time. But I'll tell you what we saw overall. I mean, the numbers reflect it. We had less drama in the school to deal with, particularly in the middle school. We dealt with a lot less bullying issues. That's not to say we didn't still have our fair share, and in some cases more than. But we saw a lot less of it last year with the phones because they weren't really able to, Snapchat each other everywhere they worked, but everywhere they went. We really got to focus on bigger issues last year with the phone. So, in the year and the quarter now that we've had a complete total phone ban in this campus, we've seen pretty good success with our discipline rates and kind of just getting people to be better each other. The bullying issues that we see now here at this point and last year, they really kind of come from outside the school environment. They're happening at home on social media, and sometimes it bleeds into here, and then we have to deal with it. But most of the time, it's something that's kind of at home, and we don't really have a whole lot of jurisdiction. So, we thought we might see more referrals, but in all honesty, they're pretty much compliant with it. Now I'm not stupid. I know that they're going in the bathroom or whatever, but we're not seeing it as much. And even when you go into the restroom, we're not really seeing it as much. Like if you go in at a monitor or whatever. Students, for the most part, we thought that they might be a little bit more resistant to turn over their phone. You know, when I was principal, we didn't really have that issue too much. There was a few times that, you know, kids would just refuse, but then you like, listen, you got two choices. You either give me the phone or this moves on to insubordination, and that's a whole nother level, and you don't want to go there. And then, you know, sometimes it did, but rarely was that the case. So, long story short, it has been revolutionary for this campus. And I can tell you in groups of administrators, nationally, when you're in these social media groups and they talk about what's happened, the same thing that we saw is what happened, is what's happening nationwide. So some people don't like it. I get that. I understand the reasons why, but the evidence is clear. It is improving the academic environment.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to item 12, new business, approved purchases over 25,000.
We have none.
Item B, discussion of possible action to approve policy criteria for the successful completion of graduation requirements.
So, if you permit me, we need to put this policy back out on review. When we drafted this policy, our Trey had recommended that we send it to the State Department and get their guidance, and so we did, and we put it before you to put on comment, knowing that we probably were gonna have to revise a little bit of it when we came back. And so we did. And the things that are highlighted there, basically they're just, it's terminology, it's just some changes, like changing Algebra 2 to Algebra 2 and Math 3, because that's now the same course code, and that needs to be reflected. Trig and pre-calc, originally we had pre-calculus, but it's actually trig and pre-calc. It's one course. If you go in and you see under the others, they wanted us in the social studies to clear up the language, as far as like what would replace certain courses for AP and dual credit. Because social is a little bit different than like English or math. And then you see some CTE stuff. They just wanted us to be really clear about exactly what would replace what in our policy. And then, on, on the third page, if you will, it says GED. It had HSE. That was the old, well, for lack of a better word, GED test. That's what we had before we went back to GED. And then the final one, the one thing the state cautioned, is that maybe it just, it wasn't clear enough, the superintendent's ability to waive, parts of our provision that are more rigorous than the state minimum. And so they wanted us to have a little bit of flexibility. So like if a kid transferred in, and even though there is some criteria, that it still gave the superintendent the ability to look at all the factors of the case. And as long as we held that student to the state minimum in policy 2510 for diploma, then the superintendent could waive those requirements if it was in the best interest of the kid. And so that section was added in there today, So it's a little sentence. But really, by and large, other than that one addition, everything is pretty much just specific language, tightening up, that making sure it's clear and reflective of clearly what's in 2510 and what courses are really approved. So this needs to go back out for another comment period until the 27th meeting. And then I think at the 27th meeting, as long as everybody is all okay with it, it could be voted on by the board and adopted. This would go into place for the current 9th grade cohort. And when we were doing scheduling and stuff for them last year, we said, listen, like changes are coming, based on some of the recommendations the state gave us at the end of the year for things that we needed to do. And one of those was increase our graduation requirements, increase the number of credits. we're kind of a minority in our area as far as how many credits were required. We've been doing the state minimum. And so we went to kind of pulled some different policies and looked at things that need to be discussed, and we built this policy, and then, working with the lawyer, they've clarified it. So it should be ready to go after one more comment period at the next board meeting.
Okay,
I make a motion that we keep this policy out on it
No,
until the 27th meeting, October 27th meeting.
I second.
okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Harvey and a second by Mrs. Farley to place this policy back on review. Is there any further discussion?
On comment, it's not reviewed.
Huh?
Let's push it back out for comment.
Comments? I'm sorry. Place this back out for comments. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. Let the record reflect by a 5-0 vote, the motion carries. Item C, out-of-state overnight trip.
I make a motion, we approve the out-of-state trip, overnight trip.
I'll second.
Here we have a motion by Mr. Brogan and a second by Ms. Harvey to approve this out-of-state / overnight trip to Morgantown. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, let the record reflect.
Greg, do you abstain?
Yeah, I'm going to abstain on that one just because I'm a chaperone for that trip.
Let the record reflect by a 4-0 vote, the motion carries. Mr. Angel abstaining. Item D, discussion of possible action to approve step increase. Tatiana Vandal.
Make a motion that we approve step increase for this Vandal.
I second.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mrs. Farley to approve this step increase. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Is that aye?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, it was. Sorry. I probably said it when somebody else was saying aye.
All right. Let the record reflect by a 5-0 vote, the motion carries. Item E, discussion of possible action to rescind employment offer.
For transparency reasons, this needs to be read. Do you want to read it? Do you want me to read it?
If you'd like.
Okay. In regard to item E, discussion of possible action to rescind employment offer for Lyndon Hogue, substitute bus operator effective August 13th. For transparency reasons, we need to read that to rescind Lyndon Hogue because of the new retirement law that went into effect. Lyndon could not accept an offer of employment prior to his separation of 60 days. Once the 60 days has passed, we can rehire him as a substitute bus operator.
Thank you, Ms. Farley.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion that we rescind the employment offer to Lyndon Hope.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Brogan and second by Mrs. Harvey to rescind employment offer to Mr. Hoke. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, let the record reflect by a 5-0 vote, the motion carries. Moving on to item F, discussion of possible action to place policy out for public comment.
Make a motion that we put A-N-3 requisition and purchasing procedure out for public comment.
Second.
And we have a motion by Mr. Bergen and a second by Mrs. Harvey to place this back out for public comment. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining, let the record reflect by a 5-0 vote, the motion carries. Item G, discussion regarding attendance and academic reports.
All right, this evening, I just have the, beginning of the month attendance report. My goal is, by the next agenda, you all have talked about previously, wanting some, or discussion on some data, like chronic attendance versus non-chronic and student achievement and the comparison. I'm working on it. It's taking me some time. But the next board meeting, I'll present that data to you, just to kind of comparison to last year, so we can kind of see what the true effect is. But with that being said, we're at 1046 enrollment for the year currently. We lost about 10 students overall in elementary school between September and October. And then the high school, we lost one, for this month. I've pulled the price in the steering committee. When you look at the, like the elsewhere numbers, the HUD scholarship is really more kind of just moving in and out of districts and where they don't belong. So that whole 79 isn't quite accurate. There's also some eligibility factors that go into that as well. And then the homeschool, we actually have 2 more students go homeschool. But it's good to note in this that, when I give you those numbers, there could have been more than 2 students go homeschool in that month, but then there could have been just as many or whatever to come back to a public school, and to make the numbers. So that's, when we look at that comparison, I understand that's kind of going on. Based on my knowledge at the moment, we had 1 transfer out of county. That's kind of where we are. And then on the back, you have a breakdown of, 3 elementary schools.
Really, we lost more than 10 and 1. We've lost more. That's just the net.
That's, yes,
Lost.
that's the net, yes. So like, it could be we lost, with more, but we've had just, transfer in. And I will say, it's really fluid. Some days I can check attendance number or enrollment numbers in the morning, and by the afternoon, they're different. And then they can stay the same for a couple weeks. It's just the way things work. And we're currently in an era of school choice, so if I get mad and I don't like how the school's handling it, or I think it's unfair or whatever, I can go to the next option, and then I don't like them, or I get in trouble there because I go to school there, and then they kick me out. Guess what? I come right back and I'm back to your school. So
So we had 2 that transferred in. Do we know where those came from?
the transfer to homeschool.
No.
Um,
So, because if I look at elementary,
mhm.
there were no new kids coming in except for pre-K, right? Mhm.
So,
And then down in the secondary,
mhm.
there were 2 kids that came in. 2
So,
students.
the 6 that came in, I'm gonna say are probably our collaborative Head Start, and Dr. Knott can correct me if I'm wrong. Because at the beginning of the year, in September, we were trying to get those kids like enrolled, and get them to show up in Hinton area.
There were a couple of 3-year-olds who had to be put in probably so they could have an IEP.
So it's gonna be that type of a situation, and the 2 that came in from the secondary, they just showed up on our doorstep, and
Do we know, did they come back from homeschool or did they transfer from another county? Or-
I don't have that information for you. I'd have to do a deeper dive and look, I'd have to like really dive and look and see exactly what the enrollment record is, and I'd have to figure it out at that point. I could, and I can try to do that for you, but when I'm compiling this, it's kind of just a bird's eye view.
What happened with our 11 fourth graders? We
Um,
lost 11 fourth graders.
at the moment, I can't tell you, because I don't
That's
really
kind of a
know.
high. That's a high number of,
I can tell, I would say that some of them, some of the, one or two of them are probably in that moving of either the Hope or homeschool. I'm gonna say probably homeschool.
mhm.
A couple of them probably moved. It's gonna vary, but, that's, I think we haven't really done this in a while to really see all of this, and I'll be honest, I don't know what Mr. Widows did when he was doing this type of reports. I think he was the last attendance director to do this. So I don't know how deep he went into it, but, it's not gonna be uncommon for you to see this type of movement, back and forth. And I think Jay can probably attest as he's transportation director, sometimes his bus is gonna have a whole lot of kids and next month they're gonna have that many kids.
I know there's a lot of, kids that move and stuff. It's just, that's such a large number
Could
for
that
one
be,
grade.
whatever I want to call it, not a misprint,
Typo.
but typo, yeah, because
The back
if you
sheet
look
doesn't
back on the
have
fourth
us.
grade, JBE, HEE, and Talcott,
Mm.
you're only
No,
missing like two.
It could be, it could be. I had to correct this once this afternoon from the first time, so, I mean, it could be, I'll go back and look. I'll go back and look at it, when I was doing it, because I try to give it to you. I try to do it the afternoon that we have board meetings, so I want it to be as accurate as possible. And unfortunately, that's always
crazy days.
crunch time, and so I'll go back and look at it and make sure that I'm right. Make sure that I'm right one place or the other and find my mistake, and I'll send it to you.
That'd be awesome, because I bet that's what it looks like, that it should be -1 instead of -11. So that would make that bottom number awesome.
No, it would, it would. So I'll go back and check that.
Perfect.
But I will say, we're more transient than one would think. I find that rather shocking considering where we live, but somehow we end up being very transient.
There's fourth. There's fourth.
Just to your knowledge, are the restrictions still projected to be lifted in 26 on the Hope Scholarship, and that could be
Yes,
very
the
detrimental to
law has
us.
not been
Right.
changed. So they will be restricted at the end of the school year. And then it becomes a free-for-all. And I will tell you, some of the people
wonder
that
if
we've
maybe
gotten
that should be
to
70.
in this report, there's at least two to my knowledge that have enrolled because they have to be enrolled for 45 days and we can't stop them. And because we have a virtual policy in place and we kind of have to have a virtual school policy in place. So what they do is they come here and they enroll in our school system for a minimum 45 days. And they go on, like West Virginia Virtual School is what we put them on. And they stay there until they get approved for Hope Scholarship and then they withdraw, but they stay at one of the private schools.
The 45 days is gone next year.
Yeah. It's the Wild West next year.
And so the numbers at the bottom on that, students enrolled elsewhere, that's not changes, is that like
Do you have that extra?
91 plus 79?
So, the 91 was where we were in September for Hope Scholar, for Hope. October is the 79.
Okay,
Now
so that
that's-
number has went down.
It has, but there's been some, like, students have moved to other districts and so they get registered there.
Okay.
They might be ineligible, and so then they have to figure out what they're gonna do, and, so we gotta deal with that. The 260 right now is exactly what I know based on what's in our system, and the one letter I've had from another county saying, we've accepted one of your students.
And for me in particular, we jumped right into critiquing the data, and thank you for the report.
No, you're good, we'll figure that out, because, there's an issue there. So somewhere I've made a mistake on that, but,
I found
this
it
is
for
where
you.
it is, and
I found it for you.
did you?
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Here's your sheet. The enrollment was 74 instead of 84. I totaled up the numbers on the back.
Thank you, man.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
All right, I'll clean it up and I'll send her a possible, so you've got it, but
I appreciate it.
that's where we are. It's probably gonna look like this kind of every month.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Green.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item 13, personnel. We have resignations, retirements, leave of absence, transfers, professional personnel, employment professional personnel, employment service personnel, employment extra duty, extracurricular volunteers personnel, employment substitute professional personnel, employment substitute service personnel, homebound teachers.
I can make a motion that we go into
This is-
executive.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, thanks. There is also something that has to be read in regard to transparency here, Mr. McBride. Want me to read it? Brianna Medley's, in regard to Brianna Medley, and for the sake of transparency, Brianna Medley's resignation as an after-school interventionist was received after the publication date, but because of the highlighted portion, it has been added. The highlighted portion came from a training from Bowles Rice. So we have to add her resignation as an after-school interventionist at this time at Jumping Branch Elementary.
Thank you, Mrs. Farr.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session based on West Virginia Code 6-9A-4 under paragraph 2 for personnel.
A second.
We have a motion by Ms. Harvey and a second by Mr. Bergen to go into executive session. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, let the record reflect by a 5-0 vote. Motion carries.
It's
What is the
9:58.
call?
Bless us.
To-
9:58.
Are we getting?
Oh.
She does.
Back.
Maybe it'll come and join you all for the adjournment.
Greg, did you bring snacks?
I'm good.
Thank you.
I'll let that record stand. All right. I'll call this meeting back to order.
10:32.
10:32 was the time we came out. Executive session.
I'll make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendations in regard to the aforementioned personnel.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Farley, and a second by Mrs. Harvey to accept the superintendent's recommendation on personnel. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Greg?
Greg,
Right there.
Mr. Angel,
Show's still on.
Are you there, Greg?
Take a 4-0. Let's move
motion
on.
carries with one.
Let the record reflect by 4-0 vote. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to superintendent's report.
I have none.
All right.
Oh,
All right, discussing, next is
we're bringing 11 back on the agenda.
anything else y'all can think of?
If there's anything else, we can reach out to Dr. Knott or Mr. Angel.
All right.
Were we gonna change the next meeting to the 27th? I think Mr. Angel had reached out to all of you.
Yes.
so-
Mhm. The next regular board meeting will be held on October 27th at Jumping Branch. Will that be at 6 p.m.?
Yeah.
And is that just a regular meeting, not a
Yes.
LSIC? Regular meeting.
6 P.M.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
The time is
10:36.
10:36.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Farley, second by Mrs. Harvey. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Record reflect by 4-0 vote. Motion carries.
And when I am ugly tomorrow, it's